not the most flattering video. It's also very late, so I have to be quiet. But I wanted to do this. I took a bath. It was quite refreshing. Bath bombs in there. Then I got myself set up for bed and felt like after everything was set up that I wanted to do a reading. So we're doing it in bed. Hey, sexy reading here in bed. Oh jeez. And I look like this, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. One card came out in the face up and 2 cards came face down. Okay, the 9 of Cups in the reverse. Okay, so it's like a lack of satisfaction, a discontentment in one's own abundance. Just a bit of feeling of discontentment. We have the 9 of Wands on one side and the 10 of Swords on the other. Well, these aren't the most pleasant energies, are they? Okay, so the 9 of Wands is feeling a bit nervous about how one is going to defend oneself or what one is supposed to do with their own energy moving forward. It's a bit of intimidation, and it's like this wounded warrior energy. So we have the wounded warrior energy, we have a bit of discontentment, and then we have depression, feeling defeated. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I've been in this energy on and off. This is the energy that I've been working very hard to not be catering to, but it's an energy that keeps coming up, and it feels like it's like being put on me to some degree. But like that's how I've felt my whole life. Is that it's like this. Well, it used to feel much more internal, and I used to identify by it, and that would actually bring me into a point of depression. But I've separated myself from that to some degree, and I don't identify myself by it, but I still can relate to it at times. And it's been this weird one because it's almost like earlier during the day. Often earlier during the day is when it's very heavy this way, and then later at night I start to feel more alright. I start to feel more energized. I start to feel more balanced, and just generally happier. But it almost feels like it takes the whole day for me just to get into that energy, right? And by that point, it's okay, now it's bedtime. So it feels like, that's what I mean by feeling like it's coming externally, because it almost feels like I'm being preyed on, or I'm being disappointed. Not that I'm being disappointed. It feels like there's this energy of I said, trying to defeat me. There's this heaviness of trying to make me insecure, essentially. And then being so depleted, just fighting that by the end of the day, that although I fought it so I feel better, then I'm depleted and I'm tired, right? Just My sleep schedule's been all sorts of crazy lately because of that. I knew that was coming out. I literally sensed the devil energy, but thankfully it came out in the, oh, it came out, okay. So we have the devil energy that popped up. First came the Page of Swords. Let's do this in order. First came the Page of Swords in the upright. Okay. And then came out the devil energy, but it came out in the reverse. So that's good. As I was talking about this sense of feeling like that something's trying to make me insecure, that was I felt the devil energy. Then it popped out. But directly underneath it also popped out this Nine of Pentacles. Okay. So that's nice. And then we have the Six of Wands in the upright. So despite this being this external energy that I've been feeling, that's been like weighing on me, I've been able to manage pretty okay. But I have been struggling with my motivation. That's been part of this like balance of, you know, I'm not trying to give any validation or extra support to the energy that would try to rob me, to any sort of cursed energy that would try to keep me down. I've learned over the years that, like, even if that energy is really out there being put on me, that catering to it is only benefiting it, not me. So I try to almost, like, I don't try to ignore it, because ignoring it would be suppressing it, and then you're like, oh, essentially what you do when you ignore something, like, okay, if there's something right here and I'm just not trying to see it, so I'm doing this, well, now I'm giving this the power of all that I have over here, because I'm not paying any attention to it, right? Like, to the degree that now I'm letting it still rob me of all of this. And I've learned over time that, like, very clever negative energies will work that way, in order to try to, as long as they can get under your skin at all, as long as the devil has any sort of foothold, it will try to take that. So like I said, like, if it can be right here and force you to look the other way, it's controlling. So, like, I try not to give it that validation, where it's like, if it's right here, like, I'll fucking look right at you, and I'll call you out for what you are, and I'll tell you to get the fuck out of here, right? And so it's kind of that energy, because, like, we have the Nine here of Wands, which is feeling intimidated, We have the Nine of Cups here, which would normally be a pleasant card, but it's in the reverse, and it's like this sense of discontentment. And then we have the Ten of Swords, which is like I said, like the sense of defeat. I mean, this dude's fucking a goner, right? And so it's reflecting this devil energy, but the devil energy is actually in reverse, and it's behind it is this abundance card, the Nine of Pentacles. And the Nine of Pentacles is a sign of abundance. And so it's almost like, despite these negativities, you know, we have the Page of Swords that came out first, which is this symbol of, like, seizing opportunity, not needing to be assured of one's skill, but embracing one's sense of freedom and adventure, and embracing the sense of abundance. And then we also have the Six of Wands in the upright, which is a sense of victory. So those are very pleasant, and especially, like, coming out underneath these cards the way that it's set up, because underneath the sense of insecurity and intimidation, we have that we're not going to be afraid. We're taking the opportunity to pick up our sword and to move forward with it, you know, with a sense of, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm still going to do it, you know, where this is kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm nervous about it. But we're like, nah, we're not nervous. We're seizing the opportunity in the uncertainty, right? And then like the Ten of Swords is like, I'm feeling defeated, feeling dead, like lack of motivation, where this is a card of moving forward. I'm feeling quite victorious about that. And so it's kind of just a complete alchemization of these energies, where then like the discontentment in the Nine of Cups in the reverse is actually alchemized with, I'm not falling for any of these temptations. I'm abundant, and I'm going to rest in this sense of abundance. And maybe it doesn't have to be defined. I mean, the Nine of Pentacles is material wealth, but like, it's kind of, especially underneath the Devil in reverse, is giving me this, like, it doesn't have to be defined materially. It doesn't have to be defined at all, really. I can embrace abundance without really even, with like, in total uncertainty, without even having, like, any, like, set, like, people be like, why, I thought about that today, and where people are like, how can you be happy when you have nothing? We're literally trying everything we can to defeat you. That's what I was thinking about when I was walking earlier today. I took a hike, and while I was walking, I had this thought of Job, which I brought up in another video. But you know, Job's like, pretty much God told the devil that he could do whatever that Satan could do whatever he wanted to Job. He could take his kids, he could take his wife, he could take his health, anything but his life. But he could completely just destroy his reality, as long as he kept him alive. And just to prove that Job wasn't going to deny God. And I remember that always, like, feeling so weird to me when I was growing up, because I was like, how does Job have faith like that? That's insane. And, like, God sounds terrible. But at the same time, like, that was prior to me really, like, being awakened or aware or, like, going through my own process, right? And as soon as the goads started to come against me, I couldn't kick against them myself. And so I found this same message in my own life, you know, and it was kind of like in my head, as I was walking today, I heard, like, there's a part in Job where his wife and friends are all like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. Like, look at what God is doing to you. He's literally taking everything from you. How are you going to claim that God is, like, still give your, you know, how are you going to still claim your highest power when, like, you ain't got shit, essentially, right? Like, they're being really negative, and they're trying to talk him out of having faith and having any assurance. And they're like, how can you sleep well at night when, like, everything that you've ever cared about and everything that would make life worth living has been taken from you? And he was basically like, you wouldn't get it. He's like the Joker in the Joker, where he's like, you wouldn't get it, right? And it made me kind of laugh, but, like, it's true. I mean, I feel that for sure. Like, I literally heard in my head, like, my own family members being like, why do you keep going? You just die already. Literally, his wife told him that. Job's wife told him that. Like, just curse God and die already. He was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But, you know, you can go about your merry way, if you please. So she did. She left his ass, right? Which, all of these things ended up being blessings to Job, by the way. So, like, that's part of it. Just like it frustrates those that don't have faith. But with faith, like, these things just don't look the same. They don't affect you the same. Give me one at a time. crazy out here, deck. Once more. I just want one card. Okay. Again, we have two that came out in reverse. I'm going to put those on either side, and I'm going to put this one that came face up in the middle. Okay. So, intimidation moves into embracing opportunity, moves into the world in the reverse. Just like you embrace opportunity, and like in that, like it doesn't just bring its own reward. It rarely does, to be honest. When you're facing intimidation and uncertainty and insecurity, and you decide, you know what, I don't know how to use all of these skills. I don't know what I'm going to do to protect myself. There's a lot coming up against me, and I'm feeling very uncertain, but I'm choosing to move through this uncertainty with a sense of I'm open to the opportunity to make the most of it. Generally, it doesn't just suddenly turn around and now you're a millionaire. There's a process, and generally when you embrace opportunity, what you find is the world in reverse. But this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to turn things around. You know, it doesn't seem the most pleasant on the surface. That's the point. That's how you alchemize those things. If it was just handed to you, there would be no lesson to learn. There would be no process in that strength building or in that skill building. So in order to become something other than the page, and in order to become something more than insecure, you got to go through the chaos. You got to go through the uncertainty. You have to go through the certainty of negativity, and still be willing to alchemize that into something greater. When you're dealing with discontentment and you choose to embrace what is intentionally trying to point you in a place of lack mentality, and say, no, it's this very lack that actually makes me abundant, because I don't need those things in order to be happy. I have my own capacity to be happy within myself. You know, because like the devil also is like, in the upright, is like a way to bring out the worst in you, and in the reverse is like bringing out the best in you, which is that, like, instead of being chained to your own sense of carnality, you're actually freed of it by embracing this abundant mentality instead of this lack mentality, which is that the less I have, the more I am able to receive, because the less, like, my hands are free to now receive more. You know, the more I'm holding on to all of these different things, the less and less and less I'm able to actually continue to take on. When all those things are taken from me, then I'm able to be confident, and I'm able to, in my receiving, I'm able to receive freely. And it comes with the Chariot in the upright, which is that now I've gained a wisdom. I've gained a capacity to be able to embrace both the light and the darkness. I'm able to continue moving forward, even if I have nothing at all, because I have me. And as long as I have me, I have everything. So the sense of defeat, like, that, I mean, if you go through that process, you've already worked out the sense of defeat, but, like, the sense of defeat is like, everything has come against me, and it all hurts me, and I'm damaged by that. But the Six of Wands is this sense of victory, that, like, there's an energetic capacity to be able to take defeat. If we were waging war, right? Like, there was a lot of loss in that, but we're coming home victorious, because we didn't let it overtake us. We didn't let it kill us. Literally everything came up against us, and we're still driving forward with a sense of victory. But there is this Five of Cups, which is looking at what was lost and feeling some type of way about it, instead of looking at the two cups that are still left. But you know, well, I guess this is a matter of how you look at it. There's 10 swords here, which is like you actually took on a lot more damage than you received in the victory. There's only 6 wands of victory. So, like, you could be looking at that, like, oh, I've had to take on so much, and I'm receiving so much less in return. You're really not. I mean, these are 3 cups that have spilt over, and there's 2 cups in return that are still upright. But it's that mentality. So, like, when I first heard the story of Job, I had this concept of, like, God let Satan take Job's children, killed all of Job's children. His wife left him. He got terribly, terribly ill. Storms came and, like, broke his house down, you know. He lost everything. All of his money, all of his friends, everybody left him. And in the end, God gives him 10 times as much as he had to begin with. He gives him far more wealth. He gives him a bigger family. He gives him a better wife. He gives him, you know, friends that actually care and aren't just going to leave him. He gives him all of these things that, like, I remember just feeling that way at first when I first heard the story, and when, like, we tend to do that when we first go through this process, is to receive things like the Five of Cups energy, that how could you possibly make up for all this loss? Because, like, even if I have new kids, like, I had to lose my children just to feel this way, right? And, like, it just doesn't seem to make logical sense at first, which is reasonable and fair, to be honest. But you have to go through this process, and eventually you do find, and, like, if you keep moving on faith, like, you will find that, like, it really is something so much greater. Like I said, like, you go from having, you know, so, like, this is the Six of, I grabbed another deck, the Six of Pentacles in the reverse. You know, you go from having things to give those in need, but, like, this card is still, like, out of balance. Like, you're giving less to balance, you're giving even less to yourself, and you're giving the most to others. What you receive in the end after this, and when you move through that Five of Cups energy, is that, like, you find that, like, a better balance than what you had originally. Now you're not giving more to others than you would to yourself. There's a balance here where you're able to receive as much as you're given. You know, your closest friends aren't people that end up mocking you for your faith and then leaving you when you have nothing. Your wife isn't somebody who literally tells you, why don't you just curse God and die, and then leaves you. You know, there's a balance that happens after this where, like, as great as it might have been to have had so much to be able to give others, in the end, this wasn't ultimately the most balanced thing. And now you can give to yourself better. And now you're going to have a better sense of balance where, like, the friends that you have are actually faithful. The family that you have is healthy and strong and doesn't end up, you know, broken. Same sort of thing. We have the 4, right? Yeah, the 4 of Swords in the upright. It's kind of like this person, like, laying on a casket. It's like a knight, and, like, it's being represented with their sword, and then you have this sword on the back, and the sword's on the wall. But this is like the final rest. 4 is a number of completion, and this is like a final rest. And in the reverse, it's like coming to life. Like, it's like Seven of Cups in the upright. The things that used to be able to kill you now don't. Like, those very things that you were so scared to lose, those very things that you identified yourself by, your value by, like, are no longer all that you have. You can go through so much more than you thought that you could and still end up better for it. All of these things that you thought would make you feel some type of way, you're no longer scared of. You know, this card in the other deck that I was using at first looks just like this, only scarier, because it's far more detailed, and it isn't as pretty. Where in this deck, this is so beautiful seeming. Like, it's so beautiful colored, and everything, nothing looks as, it doesn't look as scary, it looks more pleasant. And it's kind of the sense of, like, these things that, yeah, like, these things that would have broken you are now blessings. There isn't anything that's so terrifying any longer. You're stronger now. You're far more capable. Like, even the fact that, like, I decided to change the deck for no reason other than I just felt that way. But, like, this deck is, like, more beautiful and has, like, a more pleasant feeling, and all these cards, even though even in the reverse, have, like, a far more pleasant feeling to them. It's like, even in the reverse, right? Even though you had already made all that loss, and that these are just trying to fill a space from everything that you lost, like, it's still much better. A lot of cards just came out. Okay. This will be it. This one came out first, and then this one, and then this one, and then these two. Okay. See, now we have the 9 of Wands in the reverse. So, like, no longer are we feeling insecure. No longer are we feeling uncertain. No longer are we in our wounded warrior energy. We have the Queen of Pentacles, but in the reverse, which is that no longer is our security and our sense of comfort and convenience based on material wealth. We've moved on to something greater than that. We have the 4 of Wands here in the upright, which is like there's something greater than the materialism. These things are freestanding, but there's this sense of victory, and these people are celebrating, and it's like we've learned a groundedness and a stability within ourselves that doesn't require something so physical and so tangible. Now we can actually appreciate these things. We have the Six of Cups in the upright. Just like this nostalgia card. But like it's like being able to give. And now it's like, now we have like this appreciation for things. Where like we can like really truly give of ourselves. And it's something far more pleasant. We have more to give. We have more to give now. Comes into the Nine of Cups in the upright. You know, now we have this actual sense, and look how fucking shit-eating grin that this guy's got. You can't see it in the thing, but like, he's so happy. He's so proud of himself. He's so happy. And it's like, these were the very things that we started off with being in reverse, right? Having the Nine of Wands in the upright, having the Nine of Cups in the reverse. The Nine of Wands in the upright was insecurity. The Nine of Cups in the reverse was lack mentality, and now they're turned rightfully into a positivity. And the Ten of Wands we had in the upright, the Ten of Swords. Hierophant in the reverse, the Hierophant in the upright is like a sense of stoicism, a sense of ritual, a sense of spiritual righteousness, like a sense of like spiritual uprightness. In the reverse, these two keys are on top. And it's like, yeah, it's recognizing that like you don't have to be, because there was a part where Job, like through all of it, he never questioned God. Or he never denied God. There was a point where he did question God. And he's like, why me? Why are you doing this? What does all of this mean? Do you hate me? And God, like, reprimanded him for it. It's like, don't ever think that. Don't get yourself in the wrong mind. I'm God. I can do whatever I want, and you have to receive it. And I expect that you will receive it as good. It's like, okay. No matter what cards you get, you alchemize them into something positive. No matter how the cards fall, it's something good to those who love good. And so it's like that's the second key. The first key is to be able to be like, oh, I'm a man of prayer, and I'm a man of assurance, and I'm a man that has all of my shit together. But in the reverse, it's like, even when I'm not that, I'm still good. I'm still, it's still the Hierophant, just the Hierophant in reverse. Like, it's like I'm still a man of God. I'm just, I can be lowly. I can be without. Like, if the Page of Pentacles came out with the Ace of Wands. So, like, I can be the Page of Pentacles, yeah, is like opportunistic with my material wealth. And it's like I can literally be unsure of how my provisions how things are going to be provided for, like how the provisions of the universe are going to come to me. I can be doubtful even that there will be provisions materialistically, material provisions. I can, even in that, it came out with it, like even in knowing or having some uncertain, knowing that I'm not going to have material wealth or material provisions, or being uncertain as to where those things could come from, where an opportunity for those things could possibly come from. And even right along with that, having an uncertainty of myself and my own capacity to make good on these things, to be able to overcome these things, to be able to alchemize these things even. There's still an assurance. Like I said, when I started, that was when I started, I said like those were feelings that I could relate to. The Ten of Swords in the upright, the Nine of Cups in the reverse, and the Nine of Wands in the upright. With Justice in the reverse. It doesn't have to be just. Job's story didn't feel just. Justice wasn't the balance that it seemed to be, where he was like, like the opposite of these wasn't this. It was greater than that. So there's this sense that there's a sense of justice being like, oh, I had $5 taken from me. Justice would be receiving $5 back. But that's not the justice we're receiving. It's something beyond that. It's something greater than that. God gave him tenfold what was taken from him. Which means when his health had been taken to that degree, when his health had been taken, he ended up healthier in the end. When his children had been taken, he ended up with a larger family. When his wife had been taken, he ended up with a better partner. When his friends had been taken, he ended up with better friends, right? So like I said, yeah, it's about being positive, because like even though the family is in reverse, this sense of the Ten of Cups, like a perfect union, all the love, all of the abundance and everything, the promise of those things that have been taken. And it's like really hard to get into that mentality sometimes, but ultimately it is about the positivity and having innocence in this positivity and being able to cling to those things as the abundance, because this is the greatest thing. And Job didn't have to receive anything after everything in order to remain in this, and that was the lesson that he learned. Now God did bless him in the story. God did bless him with, he did replace the family, he did replace the money, he did replace the house, he did replace the partner, he replaced all of those things. He gave him tenfold of that. But that wasn't the promise. That's what that's saying. Like, that wasn't the promise that God gave him. The promise was that Job would never lose faith. And he didn't. He remained in this energy. And that was the goal. That was it. This was it. The fact that God blessed him after that was just because God is God and God is good. But that wasn't part of the plan. That wasn't part of the deal. literally just told Satan, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Job's going to remain faithful. He's going to remain strong. He's going to stay in me. That's what made him the star. There was this balance that it didn't matter, what was being done to him. Even when he was questioning it, he still was questioning in faith. It wasn't, oh, poor pitiful me, why is this happening to me? I mean, he felt that way for sure. God knew that. But it was when he was like, it was like, do you hate me? God was like, don't even question that. Job was like, okay. Whatever you say, I trust you. I don't understand. I don't understand this, but I'm recognizing that I don't need to. I can still have faith in my uncertainty. I can still have faith when everything has been taken from me. I can still have faith when it seems the justice in being served is actually being served the opposite way. If the point is for me to maintain my faith, then I will maintain my faith. And he did. And he was blessed for that, simply because that in of itself is a blessing. It goes back into like the Beatitudes, like blessed are those who, are poor in spirit, for they shall inherit the kingdom of the earth, I think is what it says. Blessed are the poor, for they shall inherit the kingdom of the earth. And like I said, that's the point, is to cultivate this faith so that in having nothing, you can actually be far more contented than you would have been to have everything given to you, because it's in having nothing that you're actually open to being able to receive so much more. The more that you have, the harder it is to receive, It's very difficult for a rich man to get to heaven. It's as difficult for a rich man to get to heaven as it is for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle. Simply because it would take some mass manipulation, on his part, because he has so many things. There's so many things he already loves and cares for and finds his abundance in and defines his value by. What need of heaven has he? There's a reason that the universe moves the way that it does, and that it puts us in the positions that it does, and that it takes the things that it does, and that it has us feeling the ways that we do. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling that 9 of Wands energy, I'm feeling insecure, I'm feeling like the wounded warrior, I'm feeling like, how can I keep going on? And right next to that, I'm feeling the 9 of Cups in reverse. I'm feeling like I don't have anything that I need. I can't feel contented. I don't have love, I don't have assurance, I don't have these connections, I don't have anything. And then that leads into this feeling of defeat, the 10 of Swords in the upright. Like, I feel defeated, I feel just absolutely slain from every side. That's all for a purpose. It's all for a greater purpose. There's a skill and a process of alchemizing those things into something greater. But ultimately, what's being asked is to keep the faith and to stay positive. Because if you can do that, then you've done that. That's what's being asked of you. It's not about receiving all of the other things. You don't do that. You don't do right so that you can receive the abundance of the universe. It isn't like you're not a good Christian if the only reason you're doing good Christian things is so that you can get to heaven. That's not the point. The point is that you could even be sent into hell. And that would be part of your calling. That would still lead to God being glorified. And I received that when I was 19. I remember when I was 19 having this vision of Satan and God talking. essentially the conversation was that even if I was called by Satan, I would still be ultimately being called by God, because Satan holds no power that's outside of God's. And that even if I wasn't called by God, if I wasn't God's, that I would still be serving his purposes. And that would speak on the greatness of God. And I had to be willing to receive that. That it was, maybe it isn't for me to see paradise. Maybe I am like Moses, that's meant to lead the Israelites for 40 years through the wilderness, through just hell on earth, just to teach others about the miracles of God through man, the providences of God, even when there's nothing else, just to end up being essentially cursed by my own pride, to have to sit on a mountain and watch everybody else enter paradise, and to die alone on a mountain. Maybe that's my calling. It's not about me. It's about keeping that faith so that those that are meant for paradise can reach it, and so that God can be glorified in those things. I get it. I don't question it. There's times that I forget it, and then I start doubting it. But when I remember, I do embrace it. And it might seem easy for me. It's not. But I've been doing this for a long time. I've been experiencing hard times for a long time. I've had a lot of time to be able to process these things and to make the most of them. You know, experiencing such hard times for basically my whole life is a privilege. It's an honor, because it puts me in this high place to be able to teach these things this way. It's not something I would recommend anybody being jealous of or envious of. Please do not envy me, because you are asking for karma. You're asking for pain. You're asking for loss. You're asking for sorrow. You're asking for everything to be taken from you so that you can learn these lessons. It's not that it isn't worth it, but there's much kinder ways to receive these things than being envious of my lessons or the position that I have because of everything I've gone through. And as the wheel turns, there'll be a time, you know, it's turning to where I'm on top now, but like there's been times, plenty of times, where I've been on the bottom in order to get to this point, and the wheel continues to turn in those ways. So I think it's best just to remember to be grateful for everything that you have. It will speak for itself if it's not already. And if you're so focused on things being a certain way, you might not be hearing them actually speak. You know, maybe they're already speaking for themselves and you're just not listening. It's best to be grateful. It's best to stay faithful. In those qualities is the blessing, to have those qualities at all. Blessed are the gracious, for they have grace. Blessed are the faithful, for they have faith. If you don't want to be hopeless, hope. Put your hope in something. Then you'll have it. The second that you are able to hope in something, suddenly hope exists. Something to hope for exists. It's that simple. We are the creators. We are the master manifestors. It comes with that perception and that capacity to be able to work that perception into our very being. For me, this is everything. It's everything that I do. And so I am in a place now where in having nothing, I can embrace everything, and I do. And I'm thankful for that, and I feel incredibly blessed for that, and I thank you, universe, for reminding me of these things. hope this is a blessing to you. I hope that you can embrace nothing and everything all at once. Yeah, I'll see you soon.